Okay, this is the route. Oh, are we ready? Sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening. Take a front row seat.
Okay. This is the Raleigh Conservation Commission, January 22nd, 2013. This meeting of the Raleigh Conservation Commission is hereby called to order under authority of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Raleigh Wetlands Protection Bylaw in the Storm Management and Erosion Control Bylaw. And I'll call the roll for attendance. Robert Carpenter.
Here.
Dave Delmonico.
Here.
Bob Garner.
Here.
Judy Keys.
Here.
Sam Stripe.
Here.
Kurt Turner.
Here.
And Doug Watson is absent this evening. Do you wish to seek confirmation of the title of acting chairman?
I think it'd be a good idea. Does anyone want to appoint me or somebody else acting chairman tonight?
So moved.
Someone with what, me or somebody else?
He added the someone else.
Oh, here a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Negatives? None?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, for an administrative item, if I may request review and approval of a payroll. And for your review, signature and date is my hours sheet. Highlighted at the bottom.
Second.
Yes.
Yes. It might be frozen.
As long as it's live.
Batteries.
Needless to say, I worked in a trip to the hardware store and bought some. And a good LED flashlight for her too.
Okay.
What was the weather like up there?
Cold, and it got windy to beat the band. And gosh gee golly, we had a power outage the day before I could get to the hardware store and get freeze.
Is that the
Luckily, I had three flashlights in my car. Distributed.
Is that the Obushan hardware store?
I think Herman has a true value, I think. Actually, all of our agenda items tonight are administrative, so they weren't legally advertised to begin at specific times. I did get the impression that Mary River
She's
is going to join us.
Yes, she is.
So even though Mr. Rivers is here on the 54 Haverhill Street, would the commission possibly wish to consider the certificate of compliance request and certificate of completion?
Yes.
I have no indication that there's any representative coming on either of those requests. There were no issues, and they checked with me ahead of time and felt the engineering firm didn't want to bill the client for just attending a meeting where there weren't any substantive.
These are the two matters relating to the Billy Bow Farm.
Yes, and the commission does, if we could do them one at a time in order, only because they are separate permits. But I have distributed a memo to the commission on the Wetlands Protection Act Order of Conditions request for a certificate of compliance.
Do you want me to read the agenda item?
Yeah, that would be good, thank you.
This is a new request for a certificate of compliance number 63 -0617-204 Dodge Road, map 9, lot 11, owned by Billy Gold Farm LLC, Leslie Milne.
And if you wish, I can read my memo so it gets read into the record. Wish to proceed that way?
Well, I think everyone's got a copy of it, right?
Maybe for the purposes of our viewing audience.
Oh, go ahead then, yes.
Okay. Dated January 22nd, 2013. Please be advised that I have reviewed the submittals consisting of WPA Form 8A, Request for a Certificate of Compliance, a written statement of project compliance from Griffin Engineering Group LLC dated January 11th, 2013, and an as-built plan dated January 9th, 2013. I visited the site on January 22nd to verify the site conditions and to gauge compliance with the order of conditions number 63617 issued November 10th, 2011 under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The OC governed the construction of a 200-foot by 80-foot indoor riding arena with drainage improvements and an extended gravel access drive. All proposed soil disturbance was in the outer 200-foot riverfront area of the Mill River in an area previously cleared and used as pasture and riding area. Note, condition number 27D that required a letter from a wetland scientist was determined not to be applicable to this project. The field inspection revealed the following: vegetative cover has effectively stabilized the site and the erosion controls have been removed after approval to do so. Number 2, a pile of lumber scraps and construction debris has been removed from the project site. A review of the submitted plans yields the following comments. Number 1, the plans conform to the Commission's standards and accurately depict the completed project. And finally, the following conditions of the order are to be considered perpetual and ongoing. Number 54, roof runoff infiltration system to be maintained and kept functioning. Number 55, infiltration trenches and drainage system maintained and repaired by the property owner. Number 60, pesticides and herbicides are prohibited in the 100-foot buffer zone and 100-foot riparian zone. Number 61, low nitrogen fertilizer only used in the 100-foot buffer zone and 200-foot riverfront area. So if the commission has no further concerns, you may wish to consider a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions number 54, 55, 60, and 61.
Any discussion? Nothing from the audience? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve Brent's recommendation.
So moved.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passes unanimously.
Yeah, it's huge. It's doing fast. I'm trying to think after this that. Horse? Horses?
Not for riding, indoor riding, usually. The ones I've been to.
This day of my life is when my daughter gave up riding.
No comment. My wife used to ride.
Due to the arrival of Ms. Rimmer, I think maybe we can go back to the
Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
first agenda item, and no, we got things to do to occupy ourselves. Glad you could make it.
Let's just finish. Okay.
Do you have anything for me to read, or do you want me to read them?
If you could just read the agenda.
This is the 7:45 item, continued enforcement order, 54 Haverhill Street, map 15, parcels 87-2 and 88. Howard P. Schmidt, the altering by cutting of vegetation and placement of fill, a minimum of 6,000 square feet of 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. Bordering vegetated wetlands and an intermittent stream, failure to comply with issued order of condition number 63-515.
Do you want to say something first, or
No,
jump right in? Okay.
no, you're the guest of honor this
Okay,
evening with
great.
your restoration
All
plan,
right.
so.
So I apologize for not having larger scale plans, but the printer that I used, the printing company, he is on jury duty today and was unavailable to print out the larger scale plans, but I have some smaller scale plans for you, so. Essentially what we did was to reestablish the wetland boundary that was approved as part of the previous order of conditions for this project. If you have a copy of this, the PJF land survey reestablished the original wetland boundary that was approved. And if you look at this plan here, you can see that this is the house at 54 Haverhill, and this is the location of the stream that flows under Haverhill Street here. And you've got the wetland boundary, so reestablished by survey, and most of the flags could still be found, or at least nubs were still there. We were able to relocate that. This plan also shows the previously approved limit of work, which is this line right along here, this dotted line here. There's also a previous clearing area, this area here, that's entitled, what do they call that? Current limit of disturbance, current limit of clearing. That was prior to this cutting along the stream edge. And so these cross-hatched areas that you see here are some areas where the cutting and grading activities extended into the wetland boundary. The larger of them, that 400 and some odd square foot at the downstream end there, that was previously filled as well. That wasn't part of this new activity, but we're including it in the total here so that that area can be restored as well. So the total area of BVW that was disturbed by this activity is around 1,000 square feet, 1,019 I think it comes out to be. And then there's about 8,800 square feet of buffer zone that's within the no disturb zone that was altered, as best as we can establish. So we now have erosion control barrier along that entire wetland edge that consists of either silt fence or silt sock.
Straw wattle.
That's what I mean, straw wattle. And it's stabilized, it's been graded, there's hay mulch on the buffer zone area now, so it's stabilized for the winter. All the material's been moved out of the wetland. And it's been rough graded, like I said, with the straw placed on the ground now, so it's stable for the winter. So the proposal is simply to just, now that the fill material's been taken out of the wetland and the grade of the buffer zone reestablished, to just simply plant in the spring. And I've provided Brent with a proposed restoration plan that includes plantings within each of these wetland areas. There's 4 of them, for a total of 20 different, 20 shrubs, wetland shrubs to be included there. And then in the buffer zone itself, like I said, there's 8,800 square feet of buffer zone impacted within that no disturb zone. That I had proposed 100 different shrubs. Most of the trees, and the trees are actually still shown on this plan, those were not cut, and there's an overstory that's present still. So this is just shrub plantings underneath it to reestablish some kind of a native buffer along that stream edge. So you have 5 different types of plantings that are proposed, all native wetland plantings, for a total of 100 altogether. And didn't provide a planting plan to show where they go because it's going to have to be established in the field and work around tree roots and existing conditions. But clumping them in 3s or 5s and trying to make it look kind of natural, not in rows or anything like that. And that's it. And we'll seed with an understory shade tolerant seed mix. I And then once that's, the plantings are in and established, we can come back and request some relief from the enforcement order.
Brent, you comfortable with that?
Yes, with the caveat that the restoration plan was only received today, and so I would like to ponder it a little bit more than just my brief look at it this afternoon. The forces of chaos were strong today, and I didn't
They
get
were.
an uninterrupted ability to read your
Mhm.
plan in entirety. I had, assuming the plan that you're presenting tonight is not substantially revised from the plan that was received earlier, I wanted to mention that I believe the address is wrong on the plan.
Okay.
It's got 255 Haverhill Street, so what you just passed out still says 255
Yep,
Haverhill Street.
yep, it does.
And I also wonder if we wouldn't profit by having a table on here that gives us the different amounts of disturbance,
Okay.
DVW disturbance, and then buffer zone and no-cut disturbance, which I think that is probably all synonymous, actually.
Right.
Those two
We-
things.
we
It's
do have-
labeled, it's labeled in the areas, so it's marked where those square footages occur, but we can provide a table as well.
Well,
if you'd like.
Here again, I don't know if this plan has changed from the one that you sent me as a PDF, but the thing that's done in colors,
Mhm.
like pastels, which I had great difficulty trying to print out on our black and white
Sure.
copier.
Yep, it's now in black and white, so.
But also, and I also think that assessors, maps, and parcels need to be on here, because I believe we're also dealing now with 3 lots. 54 Haverhill Street, when it originally was reviewed by the commission and received its order of conditions, was one distinct parcel, I believe, and
I
then.
think it was done in conjunction with the,
I believe
It
the
was
A and
not-
R plan
oh.
was actually filed and recorded after the commission has issued.
oh, yes, it was done,
Because our nomenclature all originally, I think, referred to 2 parcels, just 88 and 87. And now we have parcel 88, we have 87-1, or 87 lot 1, and 87 lot 2.
right,
Um,
yeah.
So I'm just saying, there's a few revisions
Sure.
to the plan that I think.
You know, feel free to mark it up and I'll pick it
Well,
up, or you can send it.
I'm just
to
kind of
me.
verbally saying
Sure.
that I think those, because
Mhm.
first off, we're using the plan for restoration and compliance with the enforcement order, and the whole reason the enforcement order is issued is because of disturbance. So I think
Sure.
a table, just as we would do a table for Riverfront, I think a
Sure.
table for what's
Yeah, I can
going.
take what's in this
What's going,
narrative and
yeah,
just put it on
exactly,
there.
what's in the narrative, and then just a correction of the title and the location,
Mhm.
and maybe a use of different
Yeah.
black and white,
I
or,
did mention that to him,
Yeah.
and so that this later revision, because the
Yeah.
title block was in yellow, I think, and couldn't read it at all.
right. So I don't see anything substantially wrong with the plan, it's just, we in a sense are just sort of getting it right
Yeah.
now. And
Actually, the area between 6 and 7, I believe it is, flags E6 and 7, is where Mr. Schmidt had disturbed on going to the northeast,
Right,
back to the northeast. So the portion on the other part, I think all of the activity was on the first lot, which number are we here?
Well-
Right
That's
lot,
yeah, I don't know which one that is.
whatever that
The
right
narrow
lot is.
right,
Yeah.
I understand that, but the order of conditions that the enforcement order is referenced to cites what in a sense is now the 3 parcels,
Right.
and so I'm just asking that be
Yeah,
referenced
that's fine.
on here,
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
It's, I'm not saying to make it, other than saying 54 Haverhill Street, I'm not saying anything, but actually you bring up 2 things that I was also going to segue and just bring the commission's attention to. The disturbance around E12, E11, and E10, we probably would have seen that having to be restored anyway, because it turned out what was embedded there were a couple of telephone poles, and our normal requirement for the removal of man-made debris would probably actually have ended up having us disturb those piles anyway, because we didn't realize that there were telephone poles buried in that section. But the other thing that I think we have to do, which this plan has pointed out to us, is I believe the abutting property owner needs to be contacted and to seek their permission, because the area A of 357 square feet, which I believe is BVW disturbance, actually extends over the property
Yes, it
boundary
does. Yes, it does.
onto the abutting lot.
Right.
And so legally,
Yeah.
it would be good, and I don't believe that they will have any concerns
I-
or
I will-
anything, but I believe we should just
Yeah.
seek a
There is an existing trespass there, absolutely, without question.
well, I'm just saying, I believe we should let them know that
And I will
you're
do
restoring the wetland area and just get written permission from them.
Are we proposing any plantings on that side of the property line? Would it be in the?
Yeah, there, maybe a couple, two
Yeah,
shrubs or something,
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, so there'll be a couple of.
Again, it's just in recognition that
Yes,
we have a
yeah.
plan that
And
shows us.
that's
doing that.
been in the back of my, more than in the back of my mind too. There is an existing trespass and it should be addressed, and I will.
Yeah, yeah, but again, it's just to seek written permission from them. I doubt.
Yeah.
It's no more than maybe 150 square feet or so.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And I think, I think they've probably already seen the erosion control and
Oh,
stuff go
sure.
up, so they just probably aren't specifically aware that that little portion hit them. But again, it's just to get their permission, so they don't say,
It should be done in
Yeah.
good
it's good neighbor relations.
policy, yeah. I will see to that.
But other than that, in my review of the plan here, I think this is substantively what we wanted, and just with those few revisions to the plan, I would be comfortable, proceeding with final review and then referencing this in an enforcement directive tied to the enforcement order, so that we can proceed. Again, the progress and the work that's been done on the lot has been very good, diligent, and has, I believe, achieved a stable site that we can be confident will go through the winter season here without any further degradation, any downstream resources of this thing.
Any commissioners have any additional thoughts or comments? Hearing none. What do we do, just wait for spring?
Need
and-
any action?
I think at this point in time, the commission, just entertaining a motion to direct me to work with the applicant's representative on the few plan revisions and then craft an enforcement directive. I think that would be appropriate at this time, and therefore we won't really have to do anything until we get to spring. And of course, a directive will require monitoring so that we can make sure there is a success in the planting stock that's put in, and so that we check on it, and especially after one overwintering period. So that would actually probably result in at least 3 check-ins. Planting, documenting that, and then fall, monitoring and seeing what the success is once the plantings have gone through the summer, and then a return and monitoring the following spring after it's gone through an overwintering period to make sure there hasn't been any winter die-off, and if there has been, replace those few.
Right. That sounds appropriate.
Do you want a motion to that effect? or-
If I could, please, yeah, directing me to proceed in that manner.
Okay, do we have such a motion?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your due diligence to
Oh.
in addressing this situation.
Thank you for your tolerance.
Very cooperative.
Very
Appreciate
good.
it.
Thank you.
Out to the cold.
At least the wind will help.
It's kind of nice.
Thank you, folks.
Very good. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Ruiz. More than likely amend the order to capture the square footages that have been expressed in the restoration plan now that we've, got a handle on it. And let's see.
Takes us back to Billy Bow Farm. Shown on our agenda as an 8:15 item, it's administrative only, having to do with a new request for a certificate of completion for stormwater management permit number 5-2011 for 204 Dodge Road, map 9, lot 11, owned by Billy Bow Farm LLC, Leslie Milne.
I didn't prepare a separate memo to the commission on this because it would have been almost an exact duplicate of the memo for the order of conditions with only the change that the ongoing conditions would be number 43 and 44 and 45. 43 and 44 are maintain, repair, and keep functioning the infiltration and drainage system, controlling the roof runoff. And number 45 is there was a sodium chloride prohibition inserted into the stormwater management permit. Just in case, I doubt very much on the gravel drives around the riding arena that they would normally use rock salt, but since it's right there in the riverfront.
I mean calcium chloride.
I'm sorry. Right, sodium chloride,
Oh, sodium.
NaCl
That's salt.
is rock salt.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So I prohibited,
Mhm.
They're all
so you can
salts.
use something else.
Okay. Understood. I
More
just wanted to-
benign.
I was confused, okay,
Yeah.
just to make sure that was clear, all right.
No, I believe, no, it's NaCl. right?
Yep.
So-
Right, that's sodium chloride.
Other than that, I recommend consideration of complete certification. And this would be the first time we have entertained issuing one of these on the stormwater management permit.
Why is that?
Because this is the first stormwater management permitted project that they've attained completion and chose to submit a request. The other permit, which is technically completed with an exception, which is kind of a big exception, is
On Main Street, right?
yeah, Mr. Ken Hamilton's project opposite the post office, is it
Bittersweet
Collectibles and the Archie's
Yep.
coffee shop. He has not put in the storm scepter, which was specified in the engineered drawings, and has not submitted a replacement or a request for a modification. And so therefore, he's not applied yet for a certificate of completion, because it isn't complete.
Well, do we have a motion to approve the Billy Bow Farm one?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None?
I shamelessly modified the Wetlands Protection Act form and just haven't figured out how to change the leaf logo yet, but I'll
Oh, the
work on that later on.
Well, I was wondering, it's the first time we've used this form, so I was
Yes.
wondering where
This is,
originated.
actually, this is like only 45 minutes old. Took me a while to figure out how to unform the form. It's a protected document.
It's protected, yet you could alter it.
Well, I had to unprotect it. Yes.
You figured out how to
I
unprotect.
figured out how to do that, but actually the trick was trying to get it back so that I could actually then fill out the tabbed
Yeah.
fields.
Yes, so the format would be right.
Figured that out just like 15 minutes before the meeting today. So that, so therefore I didn't attempt changing the logo at all.
The PDFs,
The Word documents,
the Word.
which makes it extremely challenging.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Are there any permit items or enforcement matters that need to be brought to the attention of the commission?
Not that I'm specifically aware of. I visited 63 and 79 Main Street today. It had been called to my attention that there was the tracking of soils and sediment onto Main Street from the project. And unfortunately, when that was brought to my attention and I went to visit the site, it was right after the snowstorm of last week. So I was unable to verify the condition of the crushed stone entrance exit pad because it was snow covered. They were not doing any work on the site, so they hadn't cleared or packed down any snow, and they had sanded the roadway, so I couldn't tell whether dirt had actually been tracked onto Main Street. So I did go there, managed to fit that in today, and verified and have taken pictures and talked to a gentleman who was the site supervisor for Charles Construction that is overseeing the project, and brought it to his attention. There was a couple of dirt tire tracks extending out on the roadway from a pickup truck or something, so you could see that all the voids in the crushed stone were all filled with soil and sediment that was tracking, so spoke to them about that.
What would they do to rectify that?
More than likely bring in another layer of
Just
crushed
add
stone.
another layer
on
of
top
stone.
that.
Okay.
The same
Yeah, the
situ-
only other way to do it would be to, dig it up and
So-
wash it and then
So
put it
scrape
back
it
down
all
again.
up?
Yeah,
Well, you're not gonna wash it.
somehow get the soil out of it.
Hmm.
So-
I had driven by there after those rains, and they were heavy truck activity in and out of that site, and all up Main Street for, at least half a mile. It was heavy dirt,
Yeah.
But Brent basically made the same recommendation to the site on Weathersfield Street that I drove by today and has a fresh load of crushed stone on it.
Yeah.
Looks great. So,
Traveled by and verified that, and also a little further down the road coming into town, 232 Weathersfield Street, they had proactively put down crushed stone for their entrance, so the sites that are active right now with excavation and stuff going on, as soon as the Main Street folks attend to that, they'll all be up to speed in regards to keeping soils off the street. Other than that, their erosion control is fine.
How large is the stone that they use? Is it like 2-inch, 3-inch?
Yeah,
Something less?
2-inch, I think, on the Main Street one, and I think Weathersfield
bigger.
Street, I believe he used 2-inch. Well, usually they call it 2 to 3, don't they?
Mhm.
2 to 3 minus,
Yep.
or whatever. 232 Weathersfield Street, he put down a smaller crushed stone, but he also had re-gravelled the incline there due to the ledge being underneath there, and so he it wasn't tracking out on the street. I checked it
Mm.
twice, so it's working, so I'm not gonna complain about the size of the crush dome we use when it's working.
Like 2 to 3 inches, you wouldn't want to go any less than that,
Yeah,
but you should be, that's probably okay for that site.
I know of no other significant matters to call to the commission's attention, Brent, unless you have something else. You may have some other things here that need tidying up.
No, I do have to send the commission a site report in regards to Mr. Comley on Fennel Drive has undertaken some maintenance there and had me check erosion control late Thursday before I ended my day, and we lost daylight last week.
We'll look forward to receiving that.
I thought you had 3 flashlights in your car.
My wife's figured it out.
Oh, well, okay.
We could sing happy birthday to our
Right.
chairman's wife. Anything else?
I don't think so. It's, next time, I think, or maybe sooner, I'll have a draft of annual report. Or I'm working on that, but
When's the town meeting?
I don't know. I just got a little email telling me to start working on the
Go on.
annual report. So, I'm sorry, has everybody's done the certificate or ethics acknowledgement, correct?
Yeah, I gave you a copy of mine
Right,
last
right.
week.
I sent you mine.
I didn't know what that was all about. Do I have to do anything more?
Just acknowledge that you received the
The Dodge.
summary of the state
And
ethics.
how do I do that?
There's a sheet.
Oh,
Oh,
I guess after the meeting. I'll need
She's
to-
got to sign and I just faxed it back to
oh,
the
okay,
town.
my computer is.
Yeah.
Brent must have a blank one around.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to,
It looks just like that.
Oh, okay, I probably got it
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah, if you just get a print of that and sign it, that's all
All
the
right,
print
as long as
needs
I don't have
to
to
give
do
it
it.
to the.
yeah, I can turn it into the town clerk. I'll be glad to do that.
We've got to take a test periodically, something like every 2 years.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, but they haven't gotten that. It's an online training thing, and they haven't gotten it finalized yet, so we just had to do the acknowledgement this year.
Right, because 2 years ago, we did have to do the
Yeah,
online
we
test.
did.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and they've been supposedly upgrading it or modifying it, but it
Oh.
wasn't ready for,
Oh, yeah, I see.
wasn't ready for access
Mhm.
on
I
time.
didn't get anything extra with it, just the.
I think you mentioned a couple of meetings ago, or maybe even last meeting, that it was a time where we should consider election or re-election of officers.
Oh, if you,
Yeah.
if you so
I mean,
choose, yeah.
This is an annual thing that we traditionally do or have to do, or?
Well, no, but, well, since I've only been involved with one other commissioner, one other commission, they normally just check in with everybody the January meeting and just make sure that folks still want to maintain the responsibility of whatever office position they're in, or if, if the rest of the commission is satisfied with the officers that they have and want to instigate a mutiny or whatever.
I've been in one of those.
Have you gotten any sense from Doug that he might wish to discontinue his chairpersonship, or?
No, he hasn't said anything in that regards to me.
Unless we get a phone call in the next 30 seconds, I will entertain a motion to, if somebody else wants to be vice chairman, I'd be perfectly happy to step down on that, but hearing no volunteers.
Well, no, I have a bit of a hard time electing someone to the position of chairman unless the person is here to object.
We could make it conditional upon his acceptance.
I'd be more than happy in that.
All right. We have a motion to elect officers conditional on the chairman's, present chairman's re-elect them.
Willingness to accept the
Willingness to accept.
position.
Looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
I've been on too many committees where people were appointed other people because they weren't there.
Understood.
Yeah.
But Brent did bring this up during a meeting, and I don't think,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not,
doesn't hurt to be careful.
it's more a philosophical question than practical in this point.
Okay. Well, we may set a record for,
now is that motion inclusive and including
yes,
vice chair
yes.
also? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You still want it, right?
Well, I'd be happy to step down if someone
Yeah.
didn't get any volunteers.
Okay.
I guess that's it. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.